Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to my season review where I talk about what went wrong with the Brisbane Roar. So, for the men's team is what mainly went wrong. For the youth team, we won the title, so that was great. The women's team, we did really well in there and finished in the top half of the table, maybe third. I'm not 100% sure, I can't remember. But in saying that, the men's team is where we really went wrong. The worst season we've ever had. We finished on 18 points out of 27 games with 4 wins, 6 draws, and 17 losses with 71 goals against, which is unbelievable. It's the worst ever in an ever A-League or even maybe Australian football season. So in saying that, what happened to our defence? And for one, anyway, we had a lot of our defenders injured for most of the season. But in saying that, we've got a great keeper in Jeremy Young, and in saying that, if he won our Gary Wilkinson's medal for the end of the season, and he was the player of the year for the Roar. If we didn't have him, can you imagine how many goals we conceded? The defense was just terrible. But in saying that, there was a lot of season and injuries, which is unfortunate for the squad. But in saying that, why are we getting so many injuries still? What's going on with the Roar, and why are we getting so many injuries? A lot of the talk of what went wrong is going on to the coaches. So Aloisi was given the sack after 9 rounds. Darren Davis was brought in, and he was called an interim coach. And you're like, oh yeah, won't be that much time before we get a new coach. He goes from round 9 to round 17, round 27, still coaching the team. We find out the end of round 26, from round 26 to round 27, the speculation was going around with Robbie Fowler the whole time. It did went quiet because I'm just like, why? Robbie Fowler's not a part of a club. Like, he's not a coach at any other team. He should be able to come anytime, but obviously he had his punditry in England. And once he was finished there, he came over and was at the last game of the season against Adelaide at Suncorp. And I'm guessing he's probably wondering, what's going on? What am I doing? Why am I joining this team here? They just got battered in front of their home fans. They've leaked the most goals the club's ever conceded, that anyone in the A-League's ever conceded. How am I going to sort this out? And for me, I knew we needed to clean out. For him, he knew the players that he wanted to get rid of, even though he hasn't really seen them. And that he did. He got rid of so many players, but I mean, it definitely was near. There was only a few there, maybe 2, 3 that I would have liked us to keep, but in saying that, he has free range of basically, we probably have like 4 or 5 starters in the team, so he's basically got like 7 players to bring in for the starting 11, plus bench players and reserves and stuff like that. And he's also got all the foreign players, like, available spots free, as well as marquees, so he can bring in the players that he wants. There's no excuses saying that he had the club from before when Darren Davis and John Aloisi is in charge. This is his chance to have his own team that he wants to have. And especially if he does stay on, he is contracted for 2 seasons. If he does stay on for next season, where he's been able to get rid of some more players if he wants to. But I will talk about the players that have left now. The players that have left this season, we've got Matty Mackay, our game record holder, club captain. What a legend he is. Hopefully we get to build a statue in front of the Suncorp, or at least the Logan Metro Sports Complex. For him, he was a great leader, and we'll definitely miss him. We'll be missing Henrique as well. He's won 3 championships with us, and he's just a all-round club legend, so the slippery fish will be gone next season. Sucks that he's gone out the way that he did with injury. He would want to be playing there, but he's such an amazing player, and it'd be sad to see him go. We also lost Thomas Christensen, was with us for 3 seasons, and he was a great player for the first season and a half probably. He sort of went downhill since then, and he was a great servant to the club, but in saying that, he was getting on, he wasn't getting a lot of game time, so it made it sense to get rid of him. And Fowler wants to bring in as many marquees and foreign players as he can, so by getting rid of the players that we don't really need is his first step to bringing his own team in. Some of the biggest injury crises that we've had over the last year, 2 years, have definitely come between Brett Holman and Luke Devere. They're both gone. Holman didn't even get on the pitch this season. Luke Devere's been injury prone for the last few seasons. This season, he was just in turmoil. I don't know what was going on. He wasn't getting selected for games for ages, and everyone's like, he's been frozen out by the club doesn't want him and stuff like that. And then Darren Davies, even when he was in there, he wasn't getting game time at the start, and then they questioned him about it. He goes, oh no, he's fit, he's not injured, he's available for selection. But it just, everyone was like, he's one of our best defenders when fit, especially when alongside Papadopoulos and him, he'd be our my starting 2 anyway for what we had. And if we did have Papadopoulos and Devere from the start, who knows, we probably wouldn't have considered 71 goals. That's if Papadopoulos stayed. In saying that though, but in saying that, Luke Devere and Brett Holman have been gone. That was told at the gala night that they'll be both gone. So, not very big losses there. Great players, and if fit, would be close to or in my starting 11 for the Roar. But in saying that, they're too injury prone, and Holman's probably going to have to retire now, and Zafir probably wouldn't be far off if he gets another big injury. Also, players that we are getting rid of, some of our mid-season signings, so Ali Babal showed a little bit of promise, was there, a good season, takes a hold-up play, but in saying that, we have Wenzel Halls, and we really want to push him towards being the main man for the Roar in the future. If we play top, I'm guessing that Fowler will probably want to bring in one of his players, seeing he was a striker. A foreign marquee striker wouldn't surprise me if he brought someone in him. I just hope if he does, Wenzel Halls doesn't either they play top front or Wenzel Halls is at least in the squad somewhere, because he was a great player for us this season and he's really the future of the Brisbane Roar. If he was to stay, I wouldn't be surprised in a few seasons' time if he is over in Europe. He does have that potential, but in saying that, the other players we do get rid of is Charles Lokalingoi and Rion Tonic, the other two mid-season signings. Lokalingoi, when he come on, showed a lot of pace, a lot of strength, and he's real tall figures of the balls. That's when we cross the balls in, because we don't have very tall strikers normally on the field, and we're crossing the balls into Wenzel Halls and Bosiak or Henrique when he was playing. And it's just, it doesn't work for what we were playing. So like the game plan for this season, I don't know what happened. We're either trying to play possession, trying to play counter attack, trying to play crosses. We need a certain game plan and stick to it for the whole game. I know at times you can play counter-attack, but we didn't really have a game plan. Darren Davies just basically told them to do whatever. And, I mean, Darren Davies did a great job for what the squad he had and the injuries he had and the time that we had. He did do his best, and he did. I'm glad he is staying on for next season as the assistant coach to Robbie Fowler. But in saying that, we need to sort of try to work out what game plan we are, and he wants to try to bring back the days when Ange Pascal was there, the free-flowing attacking football, and I really hope he does, because that was the times when we were playing well. So who knows what happens, the style of play that Robbie Fowler will play, but I really hope it is good. The other guy we lost was Eric Bosiak, our marquee man. He made it pretty clear that even though he was a quality player, he wanted to know what was going on in the future, because at that stage he hadn't had a new contract for next season, and there was like the coaching. The manager we didn't have a manager for ages, so he didn't know what was going on. So I don't blame him for going. Who knows what is going on now? I think he's going back to France now. I saw on his Instagram today that he was in Singapore, probably on his transit. So hopefully, if he does come back to the A-League, he doesn't go to Melbourne Victory, because that's what seems to happen all the time with the Roar. They go from Brisbane Roar, and then either don't like it at the Roar or underplay it at the Roar, then get given game time over at Melbourne Victory, and then go really good. So who knows, but Eric Bosiak, wish you well, was a great player for us and great servant for us for the 2 years that you were here, and I really hope that you have a great career ahead of you, because you're still young, you're still playing well, and that Panenka, or the failed Panenka, or the penalty, was a great way to go out. So it scored some amazing goals for us this season. The Barcel kick, along with some free kicks and some other goals, had a great season this year, and I'm glad that you're a Roar player. Our other foreign players that are going, along with Christensen and Bosiak, we've got Alex Lopez. I thought he would, if he was one player that I would keep that would probably want to stay, would be Alex Lopez. It was class at the start, then he sort of like went a little bit invisible, then came back, and then started playing well again. But in saying that, it's probably not he's probably not the player that Fowler wants to keep, and saying that he wants to probably bring on as many foreign players that he wants to, that he knows are quality. So that's the same with Mikkelsen. Showed classes at times, but wasn't kept on, which I can understand. We also had Brendan White, backup keepers left. He probably obviously wants game time somewhere like first team. So if he goes to another A-League club, or if he goes to MPL, who knows? I can't see him going overseas, just seeing the game time he was given. We also lost Stefan Negro. Was a very versatile player that we brought in, mainly as a CDM, but played like left back for Melbourne Victory's championship winning side. So I thought, for me anyway, it was between him and O'Toole at the start as who would get that left back role. I was thinking more Negro. Negro wasn't really given a lot of game time this season. Off the bench sometimes when there's injuries. Didn't show that he was very good at fullback. Brought in that centre back at one stage when we did have a lot of injuries, but in saying that, I don't mind that he's gone now. The one other player that I'm sort of sad that is gone is Drake Coletti. Not really given a lot of game time. Was great in his first season. Showed a lot of promise. Sort of broke his leg. Hasn't come back the same player. Went down the pecking order especially when Zach Duncan came in. I really hope that we keep Zach Duncan on for next season, giving him either a senior deal, a scholarship deal, because currently he's only a youth player. And anything like Akbari and Zach Duncan are a little bit similar. Akbari was on a youth contract, but he wasn't actually on a senior or scholarship deal, so Melbourne Victory signed him from the Roar, and he's not really given a lot of game time there, so I really hope that we do sign him up Similar to maybe a Shannon Brady deal, when Shannon Brady showed a lot of promise back in the day when he was given like a 4 or 5 year deal. Zach Duncan, I really think, is a big future part of the Roar. Same with Dylan Wenzel-Halls. So we really need to tie him down. So with all the players that were cut, we don't have a lot of players left. So these are the players that are left in the senior squad anyway. We've got Jamie Young, Jack Hingett, Connor O'Toole, Daniel Bowles. Apparently he was off contract, and then because of the amount of games that he played, he was triggered a release clause, or not release clause, triggered a 1 year contract again because of the amount of games he played. So he'll be there next season. We've got Jacob Pepper and Dane Ingham, Isaac Powell as well for the defenders. So even though we did have a lot of like goals conceded, we kept most of our defenders on. But in saying that, a lot of them are were injured this season. Like Jack Hingett is a starter for me, probably the club captain when fit. We've got Pepper, which also I'll be happy to have as a second centre back or a great third choice off the bench if there's injuries. But I really think we do need to bring someone really good in, like a Bart Scheckenfeld or Geordie Boas, and I would throw Marky Wedges at both of them because we do need to sort out our centre backs. And I can't see Bowles. I don't want Bowles playing unless there's an injury. He's not. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have kept him. He dives in. He's so reckless in tackles and gets that many yellow cards. I think it was fourth most cards of the season, and he was injured for most of the season towards the back half. So can you imagine how many cards he would have got if he played the whole season? As it was anyway, both got the most cards for the season. So yeah, our fair play award from back in the day was just, it's gone now. We just dive in recklessly and get so many cards. I don't know what happened to the Raw for them to decide to do that, but that's what's happened. And then we haven't been very good with our cards and diving in last few seasons, so hopefully that can change under Fowler and he can try to calm them down, because we did have Ross Aloisi as our defender coach, and he was a real dirty player when he played, so maybe that's why they were really reckless in tackles. And then the 3 other players that were senior deals that we have kept on is Stefan Mork, Dylan Wenzel-Halls and D'Agostino. The rest that we have in the squad still that are on the A-League website for the Raw that are youth players, which I wouldn't mind all of them, or at least some of them anyway, being brought up to a senior deal. Macklin Freck, I can definitely see him being put on a senior deal. Great goalkeeper for the youth league. Super Freak, Macklin Freak. I don't know which one it is pronounced. Angus, you'll probably know if you watch this. We've got Aaron Reardon as well. Played some A-League games. Did play pretty well for us when he came in. Was a bit unlucky with a few calls that he had when the ball sort of hit his hand when it's sort of away from his body, and they scored a penalty, or I can't remember if he scored an own goal as well. But he didn't have a very good game, but he does have a good future ahead of him. Jay Barnett, little Afro man in the team. He played pretty well when he came in. A bit like Joe Coletti, a bit of a box-to-box midfielder like Mackay as well. Zach Duncan as well. Would love to see us keep him on. And Daniel Leck as well. Definitely versatile player. I would love to see him played more as a winger in the future. And Isaac Powell, the young 17-year-old player from Grace Lutheran, just near my house. I would love to see us keep him on as well. Definitely. I think he signed as a scholarship deal, so he'll be on there for next season. So we do have a pretty decent squad in there. I think there's probably about, if we think about it, Jamie Young starts in goals, Jack Hingett at right back, Pepper probably will be in centre back. We've probably got O'Toole at left back, and then we've got to sign another centre back, and then Mork as an attacking midfielder or as a CM, because he did used to play that at Adelaide and was good. And then Wenzel-Halls, I'd start him as well. So that's potentially 5-6 players that we'd have a starting team there. So the rest, Fowler can build around, which will be good to see what type of style he'll play. So I'd just like to say about the Gala Awards. So Gary Wilkinson's medal was Jamie Young. Back-to-back, Gary Wilkinson's medal Player of the Year for the Raw. Is it a good thing that the goalkeeper won the Player of the Year? Yes and no. It does show that he is a great keeper, and if he wasn't in our team, we would have conceded a lot more goals. But in saying that, Eric Botiak, I thought, was going to win it this season. Our defence caused Jamie Young to make some amazing saves, and he is one of our best players there. I think that he would have won it this season, and he was pretty stoked that he won it because he thought Eric was going to win as well. So our players' player was Eric, so the players vote on who they thought was the best player for the team, and they voted for Eric Botiak to win, which I don't really mind that. I thought maybe they might have voted Youngie as the players' player, and then he would have actually won Player of the Year, Eric Botiak. Our Golden Boot winner, Adam Taggart, who knows how he still got that. He did score a hatful of goals when he was here, and who knows how many he could have got if he stayed on. Our Breakthrough Player of the Year is Dylan Wenzel-Halls. Great player. He played really well for us, so the future's looking bright through him. Matt Mackay was inducted to the Hall of Fame. I'm glad they did do that for Matt Mackay, just him, because it sort of takes away from him if Henrique was brought into there as well. So There doesn't have to be one every year, because sometimes, like next year, the only one I can think of probably would be Henrique, so he'll probably go into the Hall of Fame next season. So I'm glad they only did it for Mackay this year, because the night was about him and celebrating him as the club captain and the Hall of Fame inductee. So I'm glad they did it that way. And then for the women this season, Claire Polkinghorne won Player of the Year. Had a quieter season compared to last season, where she was tied for Player of the Year for the A-League with Sam Kerr. So she puts herself such a high level. So like, even though she's had a good season this year, everyone's going to compare it to last season, because she just keeps playing so well that barrier of where she has to be to try to beat it is so high that it's real hard to do it. But in saying that, our player actually switched around from last year. Last year, the Player of the Year was, for the Roar anyway, was Celeste Burrell, and the players' player was Claire Polkinghorne, but it switched around now. So Celeste Burrell was the players' player, and our breakthrough star of the year was India Payajrali, playing over there in the under-19s women's Matildas team for the Asian Championship, I think it is. And the Lira Toba was the Golden Boot winner for the women's team. So like I said before, the youth team and the women's team did really well. The men's team, I don't know what went wrong for them, to be honest, because we had a season for once that we had no all-field drama, all the players getting paid. We had our new training facility. We made some good signings, and for me anyway, I was real optimistic about the team. Like I saw us bring in Wenzel Halls, I saw us bring in Adam Taggart, Mork, and we kept hold of Botiak, we kept hold of Holman for at that stage anyway. I didn't think Holman was going to go for the whole season. We brought in Lopez, a great player from in the La Liga, Mickelson, a good player from overseas as well, and I thought the team's looking pretty good. I'm pretty confident that we'll make top four. Like I said to BKR Sport on one of his vlogs, that we've got a team that can push for the title championship, probably not the top 1-2, but like 3 or 4, and it was just terrible. Finished 9th place. So I'm gonna be doing a video probably next week sometime about what I think Fowler's wish list should be. So I'll have a idea of who I think that he should bring in for positions that we need. And see what you guys think as well. Like, you can comment on this video saying what players that you thought that you were unhappy that we got rid of, and also that are happy that we kept, and also players that we could probably possibly bring in for next season. And going on to attendance this season, so this is my final topic for the season. Brisbane seems to be a city, if we're winning, crowds come up. If we're losing, they don't. And for Victory, anyway, they've got a lot of members, and I say when Victory do bad or whatever, they don't really do bad very often, but they've got a pretty loyal fan base. I feel like they would still go to the games if they're not doing well. In saying that, we did have the 4th highest average for the season for the A-League, which is surprising for me. We did have an average of 9,632, with our highest attendance at 15,129. Round 2 against Wellington Phoenix, which was actually a pretty good result, and the look of it, they made the finals. So like, it was a pretty decent result, and the 15,000 got to see a pretty decent result against a good side this year in Wellington Phoenix. And our lowest, everyone knows it was, like, it's surprising because round 2 against Wellington Phoenix was our massive, like our biggest crowd, not a massive crowd, and 15,000. And then our smallest crowd was almost 23 rounds later against Wellington Phoenix, the same opponents, where we had 6,084. So it just shows everyone was up there really supportive of the Roar at the start, and then after the season that they had, the numbers just went down and down and down to a minimum of 6,084. I was really happy that we had, I think it was 11,000 or 12,000 at the last game for Maddie Mackay and Henrique farewelling them. It did help that it was on an Anzac Day, a public holiday. During the day, I really liked that. The last post and the ceremony that they had for the Anzac Day was really good, and it'll be really good to see if the Roar can keep that up for a tradition every Anzac Day, have it a 2 p.m. kickoff, because I feel like that was really good to have that during the day. Suncorp actually looks really good during the day. I'm quite surprised on how good it was. So in saying that, like, normally a 2 o'clock kickoff on a Thursday, everyone's at work or doing whatever. But in saying that, on a public holiday, everyone's not at work, so everyone wants to go watch the football, especially on an Anzac Day when they aren't at work. So yeah, it would be a great way to do it, especially if they can do it against Adelaide as well, because that's 2 top 6 sides by the last recent years. Apart from this year, that could be fighting for finals. That could be a little final in itself, because if one team wins, one team may not make the finals, or they could be pushing each other for like separate spots in the finals. So it would be a good way to do it, and a good tradition to have Adelaide versus the Roar at Suncorp Stadium at a 2 p.m. kickoff on Anzac Day. We'd love to see it in the future, and it also brings the fans along to see it for another reason, because people want to watch football on Anzac Day. It's my first ever game I've seen a football game on Anzac Day, because it's the first one ever. and also, well, not ever, but like the other ones fall on a weekend anyway, so it was sort of like it was going to happen anyway. But in saying that, I did go to the Broncos one as well, where they played on the Anzac Day weekend, and that was really good as well. The last post and everyone, I think it was about 30,000 at the Broncos game, and it was really good just to see everyone there, like, being respectful about all the Anzac Days and the soldiers that are lost in war, to make sure that how we are today is living good. So thank you for the soldiers that fought in the war and made us have the life that we do today. But yeah, that basically sums up the season that was for the Roar. Like, the men's team was terrible, and hopefully with Fowler's, we're bringing in Fowler, that we will have a good season and forget about this season completely and build on a team that we've got a base of players here. Hopefully we can build on them to hopefully have a good season next year, fingers crossed anyway, and hopefully the youth league and the women's team does really well again. But yeah, give me your thoughts in the comments below as to what you believe of the season and what you predict how our season will go under Robbie Fowler next season. So yeah, hope you have a good day. See you guys.